One Page Rules has now released a half-distance mode. I'm going to talk about it a little bit and go over a few ideas that maybe help you take full advantage of it. If you've ever seen any of my battle reports, the majority of them are from a rule set called One Page Rules. And then after that, I even played a game in what was originally called the Kitchen Table mode. Kitchen Table mode was found in the advanced rule books, and basically you take all your distances, your movement, and your range attacks, and you divide them down to half of the measurements. That way you can easily play on a smaller playing area. As of the end of February 2026, One Page Rules has updated their army builder to incorporate half-distance mode. So let's check out my army forge and see what's going on. So here is my standard Saurian Star Host list. I have a Frog Mage with spells, and the spells have a line of sight of 18 inches. My geckos have pistols with a 12-inch range, and my warriors have carbines with an 18-inch range. Click this drop-down tab and select Game Settings, and then toggle on Half Distance setting. You can see this is doing all the conversions as I toggle this on and off. Now I have geckos at 6-inch range and warriors at 9-inch range, and even if you hover over my spells or the special rules, you can see that those are also converted down for you. If you go over to view mode, you can see my spells list have a lot of detailed measurements that have also been converted down. So the reason I've always used this, even before it was called half distance mode, is that I like to have a smaller controlled environment while filming. That way I can set up lights and cameras and not move, have a lot of movement going on, and have a more stable controlled environment to film in. The standard full army games are recommended to play on a 4 foot by 6 foot play area, and smaller games like Skirmish and Firefight are recommended to play on a 4 foot by 4 foot area. But even for casual gaming with friends, to even set up a 4 foot by 4 foot skirmish battle, it was a bit of a challenge, so I adopted the half distance mode a long ago just to play at home. So that way, if I was able to meet somebody at a game store and play on a legit wargaming table setup, it was like a special treat. But even saying that, let's talk about the options I have where I live. Within a 20-minute drive, I had 2 store options that had legit full-size wargaming tables. But even one of those stores decided to take their wargaming tables out and move in more plastic, like picnic style tables, just to cater to more like card games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and other card games like that. So the one store left in my 20-minute driving area that has legit war tables have 3 or 4 of them stuck in the corner of the back, and it's a really cool place, and they have shelves for terrain so you can just start grabbing stuff and do what you want. But even still, they have those in the back, and then there's a whole rest of the room. I'm going to guess it's around 1,200 square feet of just like plastic, picnic tables like I talked about before. So if you get to a game store and all the game tables, the legit wargaming tables are taken up, or if you live in an area like I have where you're just not a lot or even no gaming tables whatsoever, and they just have stores full of, just plastic picnic tables, I'm always open to using a smaller setup and using half distance mode. So here are a few examples that I use, and maybe you can take a look at and get some cool ideas. This is my basement, and here between the couch and the drum set, me and a group of friends have been playing through some hero quests. Clear off the hero quests, and there you have a plastic table that I'm talking about that you usually find in these game stores. Now that your distances have been cut in half, your skirmish play area can be cut down from a 4 foot by 4 foot to a 2 foot by 2 foot, which is what this playmat is. For around $60, I have a box of RPG battle mats from a company called Hexers. I'm a big fan of these because they lay flat and they're sturdy, and this pack has several color and kind of design options, like space, brick, grass, and water and such. These have 1-inch movement squares in which I either use or ignore. So if you count the 1-inch squares, these boards are 26 by 22. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that you can also order this box or these designs, and instead of having square grids, you can have hex grid spaces. I also like Look battle mats. For around $50, you could pick up a pack like this with 2 spiral bound books inside. You open these up and find a combination of pages that you like, and then you put them together, and then you have a 2 foot by 2 foot setup. I like to use this for Age of Fantasy quests because that game can be a little bit more like a dungeon crawl with several missions and objectives attached to one game. Then you can just find another set of pages that you like for each mission and place objectives and buildings and such, and just really have fun with it. So be sure to check out Look Battle Maps. This pack is called Towns and Taverns. I don't know if you can see, but there's a ton of options just in this book. These are all the different scenes that are in this book. And there's, like I said before, there's like a cool town setting. There's just an open setting. You can actually draw a race marker on these and it'll wipe off. It looks like there's the inside of a castle. There's a cool dock scene. And yeah, you can just find combinations, just keep on playing. There are also other books. They're just named differently. This is the Town and Taverns, but I've seen some, just top of my head, but I think there's an outdoorsy one where it's just mountains, and then there's one where it's like underground, like caverns and dungeons and such. So yeah, check them out. My last option is to take this 2x2 foam insulation that you can get from like your hardware stores, or you can order them online. And these are pretty sturdy. And you can find tutorials on YouTube how to turn these things into all kinds of terrain sets. You can break these in half and make little mountains and such, but I usually just keep it together as one piece, and I use it for like a sturdy board to start a working table on. This first idea is from one of my first personal designs. I was able to take that overhead grass image, and through Photoshop and Illustrator I was able to add a grid pattern and then apply this design onto 6" by 6" squares, and then I was able to print and cut these out and put them on these foam board base. Here's another cheap and easy way to build a small wargaming mount. I'm pretty sure I found these at Walmart, but these are cork boards that you're supposed to hang on a wall and put in thumbtacks and stuff. These come in a 4-pack, and they are 1 foot by 1 foot squares. So you take 4 of them together, and then you have a 2 foot by 2 foot desert board. This next one is pretty crazy. I was able to take the Saurian bases that you can get from One Page Rules. It's just the little square bases that you're supposed to put on your miniatures. And then I was able to take a lot of them and combine them in a 3D designer software to make, again, 6 by 6 plates that I can then print out on an FDM printer, and then I put them all together to make a 2 foot by 2 foot terrain set. The biggest downside of playing on a smaller board is that when you're playing with the full army set rules, you kind of run out of room. And you really don't have the room to, if you're using like really big models like monsters and tanks and such. For example, here's my 2,000 point Saurian army setup. And here is a 1,000 point army setup. And this feels a little bit more like a combat patrol that you can get from a Games Workshop. And here is where half distance mode really shines with skirmish and firefight battles. Here is a 300 point firefight setup. So another thing you want to think about is that you want to be very mindful about the size of terrain that you use on these small setups. You just don't have the room to put like some very large houses on it. But if you do have any large terrain, just remember that in half distance mode, your maximum movement is usually going to be around 6 inches for both rush and charge. So within a 4-round game, it might take you a minute to get around an object at 6 inches max. So just be mindful of that. You don't want to like have to spend 2 rounds getting around a large object to get to an objective. What I like to do if I'm going to use a large object is I put it to the side of the board just to make it look cool, and then towards the center, it's good to sprinkle out just a lot of medium terrain and small cover terrain. One Page Rules offers these designs where you can use these measurement tools that you can print out, and you can also find these tools online and stuff. These are pretty popular. So just remember to when you're playing a game, you're not doing 12 inches as a rush or charge, you're only doing 6, so it's kind of neat. You can just use this tool and you're only like moving a model once. You can also have fun with the tool that One Page Rules gives you, and you can print it at 50%, and then you have this tool again but at 50%. Some of the special rules on One Page Rules, for example, if you're in melee and nothing really happens and you have to back a unit up 1 inch, I still usually just use the 1 inch spacing instead of like a ½ inch, because that's a really small space. I've still been using 1 inch even though we're supposed to be cutting things in half, and it usually works out fine. So here is my complete 2 foot by 2 foot Saurian setup, which I'm pretty proud of. One-Page Rules has made it really easy to toggle this half-distance mode on and off, so I can see myself actually printing 2 versions of my army list and bringing all of my models with me. And just to be prepared, so if you go to a game store and all the Wargaming boards are taken up, or they just don't have room, you can just find you a picnic table and just do the small version and just keep playing. Nothing should stop you from playing Wargaming. One last thing to think about with One-Page Rules, especially with this half-distance mode, I think it's going to open up more possibilities for people. Now, I think it's going to be really good for them if you really think about it. So, for example, if you don't have a 3D printer or access to a 3D printer, and you're having to buy all your terrain setup and everything, it takes less terrain just to fill up your board and make it look cool. So that's a good thing. And it takes less models to fill up your board to make it look cool, which is also a bonus. And if you're having to spend the money, and even if you like to spend money, you can go to Games Workshop or the Warhammer or whatever it's called now. And then, like I said before, there's combat patrol boxes. And these combat patrol boxes are probably going to be the perfect amount of models that's going to look good on a half-distance mode board setup. And also, while you're on the Games Workshop website, you can check out the Kill Team boards. I think these boards are 30 by 22. I can't remember what the exact measurements are, but this is going to be perfect for half-distance mode. And then you get a whole board and terrain set just on one setting, which is not too bad if you're going to go in with a buddy and go in halvesies and buy this. The cool thing is that the Kill Team is such a popular thing that you can go online and you can find other manufacturers doing Kill Team boards, so you can easily get a setup like pretty reasonable these days. So, controversial opinion, I'm not saying that we should get rid of our large army setups. I love my 2,000 points of Saurian Star Host, and I plan on adding more to it to get up to like 3,000 points just to have options and everything. But if you want to keep if you could keep an open mind and go to game stores and play on these smaller half-distance mode setups, like on a Kill Team mat and stuff, you're just lowering the entry barrier for everybody to get in and play this game. So you're going to have a bunch of new guys that are just slowly building up their army lists. So they have like maybe 1,000 points on models, and that's fine. Just play on the smaller setup. And B, you're going to have like a lot of Wargamer players that you can maybe like convert over to One-Page Rules, or at least play the game and have fun. And they're probably going to have at least a combat patrol box, which is going to be perfect for this size. So that is it. That is my discussion about One-Page Rules and our new half-distance mode. Obviously, I'm pretty excited about it because it kind of caters to my setup and everything. But, I hope you guys can get excited about it too. I think it's going to, like I said, it's going to open up more options just to play the game, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember that I'm also on other social media like Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Patreon. Be excellent to each other, and I'll see you guys on our next adventure.